Welcome back to 2020 Tech for You. My name is Joe, and today we're going to be talking about NVMe SSD M.2 PCIe. That big word for this small item. Now, this small item does some pretty big stuff. Number one, it doesn't need external power from your power supply like your other hard drives do, like the HDD or the SSDs. This one plugs right into a PCIe slot, the M.2 preferably, right on your motherboard, so it gets its power right off the rail that it plugs right into. Now, that's a big word. M.2 NVMe PCIe SSD, like I said, so we're just going to refer to this as our M.2. Now, the benefits. Number one is speeds. These have no moving parts like a regular hard drive does. That has a platter and a little arm, like think of an old record player, that it uses to read off of that platter. So no moving parts, so shaking it won't damage it at all. Have your NVMe, your M.2 ready. This is a PCIe Gen 3. Number one, you want to make sure your motherboard could support it. Motherboard recently, then more than likely it does. Now, you need to make sure if it's PCIe Gen 4. As of right now, only AMD supports Gen 4. I'm not sure if Intel has an idea of when they're going to be, but they have Intel Optane, something very similar, which is pretty cool from what I've heard. I've never used it, but I'm pretty sure it's still the same thing, basically. But these, even though it's Gen 3, can go into a Gen 4 motherboard, no problem. It won't change the speed of it, it won't make it faster, it won't make it slower. So don't worry about that. What you'll need, besides your NVMe M.2, is a screwdriver, preferably a small tipped that'll fit the screw. The bag that came with your motherboard, this bag has a standoff or two and a couple tiny little screws in there. This is basically the mounting hardware you're going to need for your M.2. And also, make sure your motherboard supports the one that has just one little slot in the connection, not two. That would be considered an M key. So make sure that you get a compatible NVMe M.2 that's compatible with your motherboard. So let's just make sure we have what we need. We got our bag with our screws and our standoff, our screwdriver, and something to protect your PC and your brand new drive. Because yes, this still has transistors and other electronical parts on it. So make sure, if you don't have one of these yet, they're only like $10 max. You get them at Best Buy, Micro Center, order them off of Amazon. They're really cheap. And if you plan to work on computers or even upgrade your computer down the road, give the $10. It's a great investment to save the thousands of dollars, $1,000, $700, whatever you have invested in your PC. So if you don't have one of these, touch something metal that's plugged in, grounded, and preferably turned off. Your PC, something metal, fine. Just don't touch anything on the inside like the graphics card or the board itself. But Joe, do I need a PCIe M.2 NVMe SSD? Depends. What do you do? Are you a gamer where there you would just need your 2 to 3 terabyte hard drive like the Seagate Barracuda, very famous, that would hold your Steam library. Now, if you're not a gamer and you're into editing, 3D rendering, you make games on Unity, Unreal, then you might want to look into these and the credit card size SSDs. Now, don't get me wrong, gamers, you get a big benefit from an SSD. Not these ones as much, the credit card size SSDs. Those ones will give you a lot better wake up time on your computer from off to on. You'll be booted up and it's not going to help with game loading times. So we'll see more of that in the future maybe, but as of right now, not really. What you could do is put a game or two on one of these drives or the regular SSDs, and what I'll do is I'll just start the game faster, but load times won't. So basically all my games are sitting on a regular hard drive. I have 1, maybe 2 games on my other NVMe that's sitting in my system, but that's about it. That's just so I could click it, it turns on, now I gotta go through the load times just like everybody else does. Like I said, if you're into editing, rendering, making video games, you're constantly moving files, you will see a big benefit to these little guys. They're easy to install. They keep the wire management down. This is an Inland Premier brand. I like Inland Premier. I even have a mouse that's Inland Premier. They sell accessories, computer parts. They have a lot of different stuff from this company. I think it's a Micro Center company or something. I'm not sure. I've been using them for a long time. I have no problem with purchasing them. If I see that this is $10 cheaper than another one, I'm gonna grab it. These are great drives. So don't be hesitant to buy one of these or Crucial. Now, PCIe Gen 4, I don't think Inland makes the Gen 4 ones yet. I know Samsung has the 980 EVO. I went to go get that one. That's what I wanted because my motherboard supports Gen 4, but they didn't have any. So, I'm pretty sure a few of you are familiar with Ryzen Hell because we're going to be installing this into my second M.2 slot on the motherboard, the lower slot, which has a heat shield for the M.2 where the upper slot doesn't. Also, one more thing. The more that you have written on these drives, the slower they tend to become. So don't fill it. Don't allow the bar to go into red. For some reason, it slows them down. You know what I mean? If you have a 500 gig drive, try not to go over like 4.2 gig. You know what I mean? Keep it there. That way you don't see much of a difference in the reads and write speeds. But hey, if you're used to a hard drive, I'm pretty sure this thing full to the max, you would still flip out on the speed. So, enough of me talking to you guys. I hope I answered some of your questions. If not, down in the comments, ask. I do reply pretty fast. Alright, so next, we're going to dig deep. We're going to put this thing on its side, and I'm going to show you how to install your M.2 into your PC. It doesn't matter the motherboards you have, they all install the same. So, see you guys in a minute. So, first thing I did was turn off my PC straight from the Windows button, turned it off, went behind my PC, turned off the PC with the button, then I pulled out the power supply, the plug from the power supply. That way no power is going to the computer. But remember, all the little transistors on your motherboard will still have some power to them. So make sure you grounded yourself somehow, some way. Okay, now, next thing to do. Now, on the X570, or mostly all motherboards that are compatible with M.2, your slot is going to be right beneath your CPU socket. That's the first M.2. Your second M.2, sorry for the light guys, is right below your graphics card. Right here. I apologize for shaking as I'm holding the camera. So, you got to remove that shield, and there's something else that's underneath the shield we're going to have to remove, and I'll show you that too. But, the X570 motherboards all have PCIe Gen 4 slots for your graphics card, your M.2, whatever. They're Gen 4. B550, top slot Gen 4, bottom slot Gen 3. Okay, by now you've found something to ground yourself to, or you've hooked up your ESD bracelet to something that's grounded. We never opened this. This is not open. It's still inside of its original case. We do not want to touch that either until we make sure we're grounded. So, make sure we're touching anything metal, just in case. Metal touch, metal touch, metal touch. Then you're going to want to remove the heat shield. So This makes it a lot easier. It's right here. See it? Right here. This is where your drive is going to go. But before you do that, any of these heat shields you purchase will have this on the back. This right here. It's a plastic layer covering a glue tape, like a 3M two-way tape. You need to peel the green or whatever color it is off, and then place your M.2 on it, and that's it. But before we do that, let's make sure how our M.2 goes into our motherboard. Please be gentle with your M.2. It is very delicate. Get your screws, your standoff and your screw. Let's see what that looks like. So, this is the standoff, that's the screw. Sorry for the focus, I apologize. It's the new camera. But it looks like a stud and it has a little screw tip on it. And that's going to go on the motherboard for the size of your M.2. You're going to find the size of your M.2. It usually says it on the motherboard, and that's it. So let's find our size. Mine says it right here. I do apologize again. Mine says it is a 2280. So I'm going to find 2280 here on the board. You're going to see a few chrome colored screw holes. You're going to find the one that says 2280, and you're going to place the standoff. Let's do that right now. You're going to screw it in to the slot, and that's it. Hand tighten. You don't need to over tighten it. And you should have a pad right here. There should be a pad. Then you're going to verify that is the right size by just taking your M.2 and holding it up, looking at it, making sure, yeah, that's where it'll bolt into. All right. And now you're gonna want to make sure that the edge with the chip in it on your board matches the chip right here, just like your RAM sticks, where they have the notch in the teeth a little bit off to the left. That way it could just go in one way. Same thing with these. So make sure that right here where it plugs in, the PCIe lane right there, make sure that that has the notch on the same side as the teeth here. Then you're going to want to come in at about a 30 degree angle, push it in. You're going to see it sticks up. You're going to want to push it down, make sure it lines up where you put your bolt. Let go of it, and have the little screw on hopefully a magnetized screwdriver. Press down on your M.2 and put the screw in that slot. Hands like a surgeon. You don't want to over tighten it. Just make it a little tight, but just hand tight. You don't want to overdo it. That's all. Now guess what? Your NVMe will work just like this. No further installation required. But we're going to go the extra step. We're going to place this on. So make sure you're going to put it on the right way. Make sure you put it back the way that it came off. That way everything lines up. So I left this screw on the back so I know this was this side. That way I don't have to figure it out. First thing, take the plastic off. The green film, the plastic film. Remove this. Just like that. Place that off to the side. I usually throw that back inside the box. Alright, then you're gonna wanna put this back the same way you took it off. Just like that. Put it this way. This is why I leave that other screw on the shield. It's easier to line this up when you go to put it back. And guess what? We just installed our M.2. Alright, now let's fire her up. Okay, we're back. Wasn't that hard. Couple screws, make sure the size was right, make sure we put our standoff in, make sure that little rubber piece was right there on top of the motherboard to make sure there's a little cushion on for the for your NVMe. Make sure that we put our heat shield on, and before we placed our heat shield, we made sure that that film that's on top of the two-way tape was removed. I do apologize for the how it looked. I do apologize. I should have used the iPhone for that shot. I do apologize. Whenever I do shots like that, I'll make sure to use the better camera. For now, I got sound, right? I hope. Alright, so now that everything's done, our computer's plugged back in. Let's turn it on. Show you guys how to set up your new drive, your new hard drive. Power, great. Lights are flashing. RAM is ramming. Flux capacitor, fluxing. We got screen. Since we're not going to be using this as a boot drive, we already have our boot drive. We're just going to let it enter Windows. And see how fast? I mean, that's great, especially in comparison to those other drives. So now we're in. So now I'm going to move this to a screen view. But as you can see, our drive is in, computer's up, and now let's see if it's actually showing up. Because he's noticed nothing popped up to tell us, hey, there's no drive. It doesn't know that there's a new drive. It's like that with NVMEs for some reason. It just doesn't do it. You've got to go searching for it. So I'm going to show you right now how to go searching for your drive. Let's do that right now.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell.
And that's all there is to it. You just need to find it. They like to hide it, and then they like to hide it a little bit more if you had prior drives installed. So that's all you got to do, and your new drive is up and running. Start moving files and folders there. Now you'll actually see the read and write speeds more closer to what they advertise, as long as you're reading and writing from the same type of SSDs with those speeds. Well, not the same type, but you know, if you have a regular SSD like the credit card shaped ones, and then the ones that we call that look like bubble gum sticks. So if you have those and they have higher rated speeds, those ones you'll see it. When you're moving from a hard drive, the old school 2.5 inch, you're gonna be reading and writing at those speeds. She'll be maxed out, while your NVMe or your regular SSD will be, you know, barely getting any use out of it. So now moving your files will be a lot faster. You'll see a big difference, and I really hope you were using one of these since the beginning as an OS. Either one of these little guys or the credit card sized SSDs. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope I helped you to be able to identify where your new NVMe drive goes. how to install it. And guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions, if you need any help with your personal system, if you can't find yours on your board, if your board is able to support one. Ask me, send me some info, and I'll be glad to check into it for you guys and help you out a little bit along your road to building your own PC or just upgrading your PC like we did here. So always remember, you can always subscribe by clicking on the little subscribe button here in the corner. It's in one of these corners, I'm never sure which side. And check out one of my other videos. I have a great video on a Vizio TV, which I'll place right here. It's an unboxing and review of a new Vizio TV that's sub $300 that does have eARC, which is a form of HDMI 2.1. So it might be the cheapest TV on the market with this compatibility. Take a look, see what you think, and again, thanks for watching. Check you guys out on the next one. Late.